Rice University is renowned for its academic rigor and campus culture. From beer bike to groundbreaking research studies and intense classes, it seems that campus never rests. Hidden behind the busy lives of all the students on campus, there's another side to Rice. If you slow down and look around, you'll notice the campus is chock full of so many species of plants, animals, and fungi. This biodiversity is integral to the Rice community, even if it may go unnoticed at times.
Rice is a biodiversity hotspot because we are an arboretum. Whoever decided to create the campus, they were really genius in that they allow for the very rich diversity of plants. Think about the live oak trees that basically encompass our whole campus, just allows for a lot of diversity in terms of the insects, thinking about all the different microhabitats that occur.
Considering that Rice is a biodiversity hotspot, how does this benefit students and professors?
I think just being able to walk the campus and just see squirrels, we got different bird species, we got different plants. I think it just adds a good feeling just being here on campus. And I think even if it's not something that's really at the forefront of someone's mind, I think there's a lot of benefits to that.
When I walk to class, I tend to notice the greenery and like the animals around a lot. I think that it really reduces like the monotony of the day-to-day routine of like walking from class to class. It always gives me kind of something new to look at while walking by, and I really treasure that.
I think at Rice, I don't notice nature that much. I'd say that there are days when all of a sudden I just sort of remember that campus is pretty beautiful.
I do notice nature at Rice. I feel like you don't really have a choice. Like, look where we are right now. There's greenery everywhere. There's a lot of trees. There's always some new gardening project going on around campus.
Even if students aren't necessarily conscious of the nature around them, it still presents in their daily lives. This is furthered by the many environmental-based organizations on campus, such as Rice Student Birding Club, Rice Wildlife Conservation Corps, Rice Environmental Club, Rice Urban Agriculture, and ROPE.
I'm a part of ROPE, Rice's outdoor programs and education. We basically provide adventure trips for people. So we go kayaking and backpacking. And one of the things we really like to do on ROPE trips are these things called NAMs, which are nature appreciation moments. And so we'll take our trip if there's a really pretty spot, and we'll stop for a few minutes and sit in silence. And usually we'll give them some reflection questions. And I think usually the participants really enjoy it. And I think that kind of mindfulness about the nature that's around us gets spread by people just around campus.
ROPE is just one example of the many organizations that impact the Rice community's appreciation of nature. Even if students are not involved in a club, they still feel the influence of the natural world. Being around plants and wildlife on a college campus provides many learning opportunities.
The biodiversity that we have on campus allows for students to really engage with science or just the nature in general in ways that is really hard to do otherwise. It just makes it a lot easier for professors, but also I think it's more engaging for the students to learn about our science when we have biodiversity right here in our backyard. And I think that's something that all professors in some ways can engage with, even beyond biology. But certainly for me, it's something that I try to take advantage of.
In addition to academic advantages, studies show that proximity to nature positively affects mental health.
Being able to every day be exposed to some component of nature, whether it be wildlife or plants, or just being able to walk outside and breathe clean air, is hugely important for human health and well-being. There are a ton of studies that are now coming out that says that human exposure to nature helps with a whole list of human condition, including ADHD, stress, mental acuity, and even your capacity to study has been investigated in response to exposure to nature. And all these studies come to the same conclusion, that having even small, limited exposure to nature, like 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, shows remarkable improvement in some of these human conditions. So currently the Arboretum Committee is embarking on a restoration of the Harris Gully. And so by bringing these landscapes back, we will significantly improve the biodiversity on our campus. So that's the other reason that I'm really excited about what we're doing here on campus, because it'll help improve the well-being of our students, our faculty, because we're stressed. Life is stressful. And the more that we can help people with their wellness journeys, the more productive we can be and the better society that we can become. So yeah, absolutely. It is essential that we have nature in our lives.
I would say being around nature, it really puts me more at ease. It kind of reminds me that, like, I don't know, maybe the things that I'm thinking about, that I'm stressed about day to day, like, they might not matter as much as I think that they do in the grand scheme of things.
The landscape at Rice provides benefits to students and faculty members in a number of ways, but it hasn't always looked the same.
I would say that one thing in nature that I notice that maybe other people don't on campus is just how old the trees are here. There are lots of oak trees all over campus, and they have kind of grown to form like a canopy over the inner loop and like on the outer loop. And I think that it just kind of stands as like a symbol of like how old our school is and kind of our origins.
If you look at the historic photos of Rice from the 1900s, the early 1900s, you'll see the landscape is completely different. The whole surrounding area around some of the early structures that were built were all coastal prairie. So the landscape looks really flat, which it was. So as Rice has been built out, that ecosystem has disappeared, but we've actually added an ecosystem. So if you look around Rice's campus today, we're an urban forest. So it's not that necessarily we've eliminated biodiversity completely. We've just modified it in some way. And so a lot of the trees, most of the trees that we see on campus today were planted by people. And that has brought a completely different kind of subset of organisms that call our campus home. You would not have found any of the squirrels in that coastal prairie historically that dominate our ecosystem here today.
Rice has experienced a lot of change over the years, but nature has remained crucial to the culture and has continued to bring in prospective students, faculty, and everyday visitors.
If there was no like nature or wildlife at Rice, it would really suck. It would feel like a prison or A&M, and I would not want to be here.
There is a lot of nature at Rice that I take for granted. Imagining Rice without nature is pretty bleak. I think it makes things a lot nicer to be able to sit outside at Brockstein in like a beautiful area, or the trees in Ray's courtyard.
What makes Rice unique is that it's so much more than just a college campus. It's a sanctuary for the natural world. On your next walk around campus, take a moment to slow down and appreciate what's around you. Breathe in the fresh air, listen to the wind in the trees, watch the squirrels scurry around, and maybe even hug a tree or two.
There's something I think I appreciate in nature that maybe not everybody else does, is trees. I feel like sometimes you gotta go up to them and give them a hug, but I feel like not very many people do that.